In this lesson, we're going to take a look at advanced PHP tag usage.
Okay. Well, I thought that all PHP tags were essentially the same.
They are, though the PHP tag simply gives you the facility to specify which pieces of the script are code and which pieces are HTML, and that is going to remain the same. We're going to show what happens if you were to break into and out of PHP tags at different locations within a script while you have different things currently running.
I see. So what would be the use for that, though?
This would give us a different way of outputting information to the browser. We're going to show what would happen if, let's say for example, you want to conditionally output some text based on an if statement.
Okay.
In the past, we always had to use an echo statement in conjunction with some form of string
Okay.
because we're inside of a conditional if, which means we're inside of PHP, which means we have to use echo to output. We can't just drop HTML code directly into the PHP section, otherwise that will cause parse errors.
I see. Okay.
So let's put together a first example, and we'll explain what's going on.
Okay, cool.
So we want to create some conditional output. Let's create a variable called $a, and we'll store the value 10 in it.
So a equals 10.
Then we'll say if $a is greater than 5, we'll do something. In our case, we've been talking about outputting some value, so we'll use an echo to output a is greater than 5.
Okay.
Just some confirmation that our code is working.
Okay.
So, of course, if we save this out, this is all simple stuff we've seen before, but I want to get this file established so we can continue working. We'll save this as tags.php.
Okay.
We'll go to a web browser, and let's navigate over to our server.
Okay.
So we'll say ds3, and we'll load up, let's see, just a second to browse through here. Let's grab tags.php.
Okay. Ah, there
and
you
we can see that a is greater than 5.
All right, cool.
So our code is working. Now, like we were saying, though, this isn't anything new. We've seen this all before. And since we're outputting, we need to use echo. Now, let's take a look at something interesting.
Okay.
We're within an if statement right now.
Right.
What happens if we were to end the PHP tag? And let me also erase the echo.
Okay.
So if we end the PHP tag, now all of this is back into HTML mode. So obviously that wouldn't be too good. We have a little curly brace hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to reopen another PHP tag. So check this out. Now we have 2 sections within our script that are going to be parsed as PHP.
I see.
And the rest of it is going to be directly dumped out as HTML.
Okay.
Which means we are allowed to use whatever we want here. We're back in HTML. So let's specify a simple link tag. So let's say href equals somewhere. And we'll end that off. And we'll call this link.
Link.
Like such.
Okay.
So, interesting looking, and by tag usage, that seems perfectly valid. PHP code goes within the tags, HTML code goes outside of them.
I see.
But we're breaking up an if statement. So, let's see what PHP thinks of this.
All right.
And we'll run and check it out.
Look at that. You got a link. Well,
so
the word link.
But that's interesting. It's completely working, completely valid, even though we've broken up this if statement.
So is everything being that's within those curly brackets there, that's being driven by what's in your PHP code at the beginning?
Let's test that. Let's make sure that this output is still conditional.
Okay.
I mean, it is outside of the PHP tags. Make sure it's not always being passed through.
Right.
Let's set a to equal 3. And we get nothing.
Look at that.
So
as long as it's as a is greater than 5, then it should have the word link appear.
What that means is that even when you're in HTML mode, you can still control whether or not pieces of your script are output.
Ah, I see.
So in that way, we can break up code and use it to control stuff that isn't parsed. This has an actual advantage within PHP. When you're in HTML parsing mode, the script actually executes somewhat faster.
I see.
Which means if we had half a page of stuff that needed to be conditional, we could completely break out of PHP, define all that in HTML, and still retain the ability to use a control structure like an if statement.
Okay.
Now, let's take a look at something more advanced. What if we wanted to break up a for loop through the use of tags? Let's rewrite this. I can take out my variable, instead write out for. We'll say $i starts at 0, as long as $i is less than 10, increment I.
Okay.
And at the end of each of these, I'm going to add a line break.
Line break. So we run this, and look at that.
So now we have 10 links.
There you go.
So it does in fact work. Just the same as with an if control structure, you can use a for loop and break it up in the same manner.
Oh, that's cool.
So once again, we can see that plain HTML can be controlled.
Right.
Now what happens if we wanted to put something dynamic, something PHP, inside of this text?
Yeah, inside the text
like,
itself.
For example, let's say we want to print out exactly which link we're working on.
Right, right.
Well, since this isn't controlled, maybe we can directly access variables.
Okay. Check that out. And oh, what happened there?
No, it doesn't look like we can.
Right.
$I is just being directly output literally.
I see.
We don't have access to the variable. But in this case, we do want to be able to access what link we're on. So what we're going to need to do is open up a PHP tag. Because once again, PHP code is only going to be parsed if it is within PHP tags.
I see.
So I'll have to open up a tag, and then that will allow us to run an echo. On $I.
And look at that, 0 through 9.
Now we have links 0 through 9. So that's working.
So is it like an infinite amount of PHP within the HTMLs? I mean, is there any point where it just starts messing up because you have so much stuff within other things?
No, it shouldn't matter.
Okay.
Because the
as long as you could keep it straight. I mean,
even though it seems like it's nesting, technically it's not. It's just going in order, going part by part of your script. Every time it hits PHP, it goes into parsing mode and adds some to the code.
Right.
So really, internally, this isn't much different than echoing it. All you're missing is an echo. We've run through this part of the script. So we've parsed in the for, and we've started looping. We've hit the end of it.
Right.
So we continue on, and we know, okay, we need to dump out some HTML. We hit another piece of PHP, and we see that ends that part of the for, and we need to recheck, or we need to continue with the for loop. Let's say this isn't the last iteration. This brings us back up to here. So we execute, hey look, an end of script tag, and we continue. So really, it's just going by piece in order.
I see, okay.
So yes, you could continue going into and out of PHP tags as needed.
Okay.
Really, the only thing that dictates that is, do you want to output pieces of HTML without the parsing, and thereby gain a small speed advantage.
Okay, I gotcha.
Now, the last thing we want to take a look at this lesson is a form of shortcut you can use with tags when you're echoing out exactly one thing. You notice to echo out $I, we had to add our tags, we had to add PHP and echo, just in order to get at one simple value.
Right, right.
If you have short tags enabled for your PHP installation, this can be replaced with a special type of PHP tag, <==equal. What this does is it's a PHP tag that's meant to echo out an expression.
I see.
Or it's meant to output an expression without requiring echo. So we can take echo out, and technically we can take the terminator out. I'll show that in just a second.
Okay.
So we can reduce this statement down to just an equals PHP tag and the expression by itself. In this case, just the variable.
Okay.
If we were to run it, still completely valid.
Still the same.
Now, we can actually remove the terminator, and this is due to the fact that this is the only statement within these PHP tags, so there's nothing else to run into.
Okay.
And that works just fine.
Still works. Cool.
So that way we've reduced the entire echo statement down to a special type of PHP tag, allowing us to output an expression.
I see.
Now, one thing to keep in mind with this is this breaks away from our rule of always using the full PHP tag. Now, here's the cases you would want to use this. If you are working on your own site, making your own script, then it would be perfectly acceptable to use this as long as it's enabled on your server.
Okay.
If you were writing a script that you intended to distribute on the net for other people to use, you would want to avoid doing things like this, just in case someone else's server does not have short tags enabled.
I gotcha.
So that's the only time you need to take this into consideration.
Okay.
Once again, if you're building your own site and you can use it, then you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
And with that, that's really going to wrap up this lesson. We were just taking a quick look at more advanced usage of PHP tags, just showing that you can break into and out of PHP tags while you're currently running something like an if statement or a for loop. And then we went on to talk about how you go in and add, or we showed a convenient way of dumping expressions into HTML code. So with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson.
All right, cool.